Hey everyone, this is arebelspy bringing you Shadow Era commentary number 18. This is viewer game number 5, Wrath of the Forest. I got a message from a viewer, Atomzed, Atomzed. I would pronounce it atomized, but it's missing that I, so I'm guessing Atomzed. And he sent me a message about Wrath of the Forest, and this is a card I've always dismissed as it's an armor that lets you draw a card when one of your allies dies, and that's so situational that I've just been like, no, it's not worth playing. And he sent me a commentary where he says he used, or a game where he says he used it fairly effectively, and he sent me some messages kind of describing how he used it, and I was intrigued enough to want to look at the game, so I'm going to go ahead and read you those messages so you guys have an idea of what we're going to be looking at here in this game, and kind of what to expect about how Wrath might be a little more viable. So here's parts of the messages he sent me. He said, I've been having some success with the 40-card Banebow deck. Central to the deck is Wrath of the Forest, currently the only unilateral card draw available to hunters. Of course, by unilateral, he means you're drawing cards and your opponent is not. So Bad Santa and Bazaar don't count as those. And he says, I will argue with Wrath, when played correctly, can provide a slowly accumulative advantage. Obviously, it helps maintain a card advantage, blah, blah, blah. It forces the opponent into a difficult decision to kill the allies, meaning you get to draw cards, or to deny that card draw and go for the hero. So if they go for the hero, then you maintain board control, essentially, is what he's saying, because then you have all your allies on board. And if they go for the allies, then you're getting to draw cards and you're kind of gaining a card draw advantage. He says, it's especially difficult when there are 2 or 3 allies on board and they know killing them will give me cards, but leaving them alone will just mean no board advantage. This is important psychological and tactical advantage. I've encountered players who choose the first option and only go back to the second option and swing back to the first, kind of, indecisive about what they want to attack. So this game in particular, he tells me, he is Atomzed, he's the Banebow player, and he's playing against a Gwen player named Gwenneth, and he says the Wrath card draw in this game we're going to look at allowed me to gain the card advantage. I don't have to worry about my cards, so I just keep putting out 4 hit point allies. I don't even care the opponent's gaining health with Soulseeker. My purpose is to deplete the bows as much as possible while maintaining board control. The opponent starts with 37 cards and me with 40. It looks like 41 to me. You should always count your hero in that. So we're looking at a 41-card deck versus a 38-card deck. But at the end of the game, I have less cards in my deck than him, indicating how many cards I'm drawing with Wrath. And then here's his argument for Wrath. He says, pre-version 1.26, no decent deck would run Wrath because it costs 5. At 5 casting costs, I'd rather play a Soulseeker, Rapid Fire, or Night Prowler. All those are better. Wrath would be a last priority, so why run it? They apparently, and I didn't know this because I stepped away from the game for a couple months because I got frustrated with disconnect bugs. Apparently they changed it to 4 casting costs, and I never bothered to look at it again. But he says here with a 4 casting cost has made it a viable option, especially for Banebow. For hunters, 4 casting cost cards are now Chimera, Sandra, I don't know why he says Sandra. I'm assuming he must mean Bella. Chimera, Bella, and Beetle Demon Bow. Beetle Demon Bow is not essential for Banebow because of shadow energy use. Yeah, essentially, and what he's saying here is Beetle Demon Bow with Banebow, you're only going to do 1 damage with it, and then in order to turn it to an ally, you have to use up a bunch of your shadow energy, which is fine for Gwen because she has a bunch of extra shadow energy, but Banebow, his ability of doing 2 damage to 2 different targets for only 3 shadow energy is you're going to be using that constantly. So you're not going to have extra energy for Beetle Demon Bow, meaning Beetle Demon Bow is not a great 4-drop. So Wrath kind of becomes a viable 4-drop. He says, ideally for Wrath, you need to have an ally out before you cast it, and Banebow has such early board control abilities that he's 90% certain to get board control at turn 3 to 4 period, even if going second. I don't know how true that is, but obviously Banebow's ability does help him quite a bit in establishing early board control. And then he says, so Banebow and Wrath are practically a match made in heaven. I've seen Raphael's, Mega Rush Saladar, and the parallel Banebow beatdown deck. They've been successful in their own right, but they have to be at 30 cards. When we puff it up to 40, they become way too inconsistent. But with Wrath and some Bad Santas, Banebow can be equally competitive at the 40-card level. So that's what he sent me, and all of that description was enough for me to go, okay, well, let's see how viable Wrath is. And so I've recorded this game. I have not watched it, but let's go ahead and watch and see the effects of Wrath of the Forest. So the Gwen player's going first, and Banebow, they both just sack a card for their turn 1, and Gwen plays a Bad Santa for their turn 2. Not a bad play if you're going first for a 2-drop. Obviously, an ally would be better for board control, but the Banebow drops a Brutalist, and Gwen has no 3-drop. Ouch. And a Gargoyle comes out for Banebow's 3-drop. So he's immediately got some nice board control here between a Brutalist and an Infernal, which are annoying to deal with if you are a Gwen player. But the Gwen has lots of cards in hand, probably isn't worried too much. Out comes a Beetle Demon Bow, which he's attacking the Infernal with, so that I guess he's hoping to kill it next turn. I would probably have attacked the hero there, but either way. And it gets Shriek of Vengeance. So that's a nice draw by the Banebow player. One disadvantage is it's going to keep him down at 3 resources. He's very low on cards right now. If you notice, the Banebow player is at 2 cards in hand and 3 resources, and the Gwen player is at 5 cards, soon to be 6 after they draw, and 4 resources. So overall, between their hand and resources, the Gwen player has quite an advantage there. So hopefully we'll see Wrath come out and see it make a difference. So what the Gwen player attacks the Infernal that was at full health instead of the one that was damaged, and then plays an Into the Forest so that it can't be attacked. It really should have hit the damaged one, but alright. And here Wrath of the Forest comes. So as soon as those allies die, they're going to start drawing some. So here the Gwen player uses their Beetle Demon Bow and casts a Soul Seeker and kills the Brutalist. Once again, I don't know why they are not killing these Infernals, but that let the Banebow player draw a card, and now he draws another one. And tosses a Flaming Arrow onto the Beetle Demon Bow ally and a Poison Arrow, and I talked about that within the last few commentaries about how playing each of the 2 arrows is good because you can double stack them instead of running just 4 times of the 1 arrow. So here the Infernal takes a hit at the hero, and the other Infernal takes a hit at the hero, kind of just wearing out those bows, like Adam Zed mentioned in his discussion. And now the bow, I believe, is down to just 1 durability, and the Beetle Demon Bow dies due to those flaming arrows. So he does kill an Infernal here and heal up to 20, but that lets the Banebow player draw another card. And the Banebow player now still, I believe, has full durability on that armor, on that Wrath of the Forest, so that's going to let him draw for quite a while here. And the Gwen player has a Gravedigger's Cloak out, but no weapon. So, tosses out a Soul Seeker, which will let him kill the Brutalist and heal 3. But that let the Banebow player draw another card. And the Gwen player steals a card with Gravedigger's Cloak. So Adam Zed here, our Banebow player, drops out Plasma, and Plasma is, of course, amazing, and does not attack with the Infernal for some reason. Here, Gwen hits the Plasma in case it attacks her, and plays an Into the Forest to protect herself from... Oh, that was a bad play. The Into the Forest protects the hero from getting attacked, but the opponent has no plan of attacking the hero. It needs to essentially kill that Raven, so it uses the Plasma's ability and attack on the Raven, and I guess the Into the Forest saves it 2 damage from the Infernal not being able to attack, but it would have saved it so much more damage later on. I would have preferred to save that Into the Forest if you're going to play that Raven, or just play the Into the Forest and not the Raven. Probably playing Into the Forest, then killing the Plasma and playing the Raven the next turn. This turn would have been a little better. Either way, here the Plasma does die, and out comes a Jasmine, and he retreats the Infernal, which is wounded down to 1 health, but Oh no, he can't retreat it because their hand is full. So Banebow hits Jasmine, and the Infernal, which should have died like 20 turns ago, finishes her off. Instead of the Infernal should have died instead of the Brutalis, and Brutalis, of course, wouldn't have been able to finish Jasmine. So, and a Plasma comes back out, another Plasma. Infernal finally dies, healing Gwen. It's back up to 24 health, but there is a Plasma on board, and Plasma's no good, but a retreat pops that back to hand. If you notice, oh, what? I guess he decides not to retreat. Oh no, he did. My computer just skipped. He retreated the Plasma back to hand, and then used Gravedigger's Cloak, and dropped a weapon, which I guess he chose not to use because he wanted to save it for allies instead of hitting the hero. I don't know. But here he does kill the Medusal and heal to 7 health. So our Gwen's basically at full health, but kind of running out of bows. I think they're on about their 3rd Soul Seeker now. And Plasma comes back out, and an Infernal comes out. So as long as the Banebow player can keep spamming allies, and the reason they've been able to do this is, of course, Wrath, letting them draw. They've lost 4 or 5 allies this turn, but that lets them draw into more allies. So Rapid Fire is going to let Gwen take out the Plasma. It does, with its defensive strike back, kill the Gravedigger's Cloak finally, but luckily the Gwen's not going to take any damage from Plasma next turn. And our Banebow player has his own Soul Seeker to play, and that will help him wear out the Gwen's Soul Seeker right there. And he will go ahead and attack with Chimera and with his Infernal. So now he's got complete board control. Essentially, the Gwen player's done. I mean, it doesn't matter that they started this turn with 27 health, because right here, if you just look at the board, 3 allies, a weapon, and the Wrath of Force, which is I think gotten 1 durability knocked off just from the attack this turn. That's going to be really hard for the Gwen player to deal with, and even essentially, it's like Adam Z was saying, like I was reading before the game started. If he kills the allies, Adam Z draws more cards, and if he doesn't kill the allies, then the allies just have complete board control and just run all over him. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for the Gwen player here. So, I think the game's pretty much over. They play what I believe is their 4th Soul Seeker. I'm not positive, but then they go ahead and hit a Chimera twice, and that'll heal them up to 23 health. But again, their bow's just going to die on the opponent's turn, with still having done almost no damage to the Banebow player. So Adam Z is at plenty of resources. Plays a Plasma and uses his Banebow's ability because he's got 8 now. He can essentially use it for the next 3 turns in a row. Even though Gwen doesn't have anyone else out, might as well start pinging her for 2 damage using the hero. And takes the damage back from the Soul Seeker. Of course, with the armor sucking up 1 of that. And the Infernal wipes out the Soul Seeker, and then the other Infernal hits the Gwen again. And a Chimera comes out. So the Gwen's down to 15 health. Now there's 4 allies out, the weapon, the armor, and the Banebow ability. At this point, Gwen can probably just GG, but does go ahead and play a Bad Santa, retreat the Plasma back to the Banebow's hand, plays a Beetle Demon Bow, which will let him hit the Chimera twice and kill it, and then turn into an ally, I'm assuming. Because otherwise it would just wear out its durability. Yep, and it does become a 3/5 ally. And if you've noticed how many times this game the Banebow player has not gotten to draw because they've been maxed out in cards, do the retreat taking a couple. Banebow player does use his ability. Do the retreat popping 1 back to hand, but then it can't draw. It already had so many cards in hand that, and of course, I believe there's a bug right now where when you retreat someone back to hand, it's the same. The game reads it as the same as killing them. So Wrath gets to let him draw, and I think the Rampage lets him heal too and stuff like that. And here the Banebow player just has so many guys, he just floods the board with allies, and Gwen has no way to deal with that, and if she did, that would just be more card drawing for the Banebow player. So, Wrath here was fairly effective. It did let him draw about 5 cards early on that helped him maintain that board advantage and keep that. I think he can just take out the hero. He can definitely take out the hero here. I don't know why he's playing stuff like Plasma when he can just go for the kill, but that's fine. He does hit the hero, and I'm assuming finish him off with his allies here. So there we go. The Wrath of the Forest, I think, did definitely contribute to it drawing in this game. I almost think it's a situation like we have in our play games, or like we had in the game that featured Here Be Monsters, where it works great in that situation. In the times it works, it's amazing. You look at this game and you go, wow, Wrath was really good there. It is really situational, like Adam Zed said, and it helps to have an ally already out when you play it. Otherwise, if they have an ally out, they're just going to immediately start attacking your hero and wearing down the durability. You're not going to get to draw with it. The problem is your allies have to die in order for it to let you draw. If your allies aren't dying, either you're probably already winning because you've got major board control, or your allies aren't dying because you don't have any allies, which means you're already losing. It's not going to help you draw. So it only helps you draw in situations where you're already kind of ahead. It's got that similar kind of idea. That's not always the case. I mean, it can be kind of an even back and forth battle where you both have allies, and when yours die, you get to draw, and that helps you. But we have, if you look back over the last, few commentaries, we've looked at some kind of unique draw things between the Rogue game versus Serena, where she was using her throwing knife and drawing quite a bit, between the last game of Here Be Monsters, where essentially he used it as a mini plague to deny my resources, but also as a draw engine himself. And then this game to look at Wrath of the Forest as kind of a draw engine. And so while they're not universally anywhere near as good as something like Wizened Staff or Blood Frenzy, there are some other ways that these cards that let you draw can be used effectively, and I think Adam Zed kind of showed us that with this game, with Wrath of the Forest. So thanks, Adam Zed, for submitting that, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for listening. Catch you guys next time.